Yeah, I really will need this. Okay. Just get back on the horse and go. So.
You when you fall off the horse?
That's right, just get back on. So
I'm not a genius.
we had our competitive equilibrium theory, which I've been making fun of, and pretty much for good reason. And remember, I mean, it's beautiful mathematics, but a bit hard to justify. And when you get down to a problem like this, you can really see where things start to fall apart. So we had a conjecture last time on what prices should be, and the idea was that in this example, neither generator 2 nor generator 4 were maxed out, you know, and so to get so to serve 1 extra megawatt in zone 1, it's only generator 2 that can serve it, you know. No, that's not true. No, that's true. You have to be more careful, because generator 2 could ramp up 1 megawatt, and it could take it here. Now remember, it's the transmission constraint this way that's saturated. So another possibility would be that generator 4 could supply a counterflow of 1 megawatt, but that'd be more expensive, you know, because this generator is more expensive than this generator. And so that's why generator 2 ramps up. And so the cost is, I mean, you don't remember, what is it? Is it here still? It doesn't matter. But the cost there was whatever it was, $750, I think it was. Okay, and it's $750 per megawatt hour. Now, in the slides, you can't see it here. You might be able to see up there eta star, which is the cost, and it says dollars per hour. It didn't say that last week. But if I have megawatts, that's energy per hour on the x-axis, I better have dollars per hour on the top. You know, so just think about this as it's a block of power. You know, say, you know, it's an auction for, you know, power over 1 hour. That's an energy auction. But to serve an extra megawatt in zone 2, you can't get it from generator 2. And so that would be P. The conjecture was that would be P star in zone 1, and this would be P star in zone 2. And yes, you could make that precise. And I really wanted to make sure that we understand how the mathematics and all fits this, and it really does make sense. Okay? So I want to try to clarify this today, and that'll be like the first 20 minutes. And the next 20 minutes will be explaining how we've ignored almost the entire problem. You know, this has almost nothing to do with reality, what we're doing right now. This is, you know, it's not an auction for rice, you know. So you have to think, make your own list. As I talk, make your list of what we're ignoring in this problem. It's just amazing. Okay, yep.
I thought we said generator 2 couldn't fill up anymore because of the transmission.
Yeah, so this is to serve 1 extra megawatt in zone 1, you know, yeah. So over here, the reason the cost is higher is that this load has to get it from this guy here, yeah. You know, but I mean, right away you can see how this violates all of our assumptions. You know, there's a low, you know, we had this assumption there was a huge number of suppliers and a huge number of consumers, and because of the large number of suppliers, that's the reason why this assumption the price was exogenous, the price could be manipulated, was in place. So a situation with just 2 suppliers over here and 2 suppliers over here, and a local monopoly created here because of a transmission constraint, it really violates any notion of this equilibrium theory we just described. A power economist, not any economist, a power economist would fight back and say, well, really, no, there are 5 generators here, really, and 5 generators here. And David Newberry at Cambridge has proven that with 5 agents, you get an approximation to a competitive equilibrium. Well, he's proved that. I don't know. That's what they claim. I've met David Newberry. He claims it. I don't buy it. So, there's just no way to get the truth. There's no way. But anyway, but we will say I can show that we're ignoring almost everything in this setup. But it does give us a first cut understanding. Okay. It's not a waste of time, because we do get some. We need to solve these optimization problems. For this economic dispatch problem, it's important. And the solution does give insight on how these markets will behave under the best of circumstances. Right. Okay, so how do we make this precise? So this is what we got from just common sense. We just knowing how much more does it cost, and this idea that marginal cost should be prices under the best. So price equals marginal cost in the best of circumstances. I'll say nice world. We saw it's not always true, right? But that's all we're saying here is that that's marginal cost, but it's a zonal marginal cost. All right, and we don't need that. It's just. Okay. So how would you set this up? So you all have that image of that thing in your head. I'll put it over here. Okay, so how would we go through and put this in the context we had before? All right. Now, the only way I can think of really making this fit any of the theory we've talked about is to have really 4 products. Now, right away, some people should scream at me. No, they're not. Energy is energy. But in order to fit this in our framework, we'd have to say 4 products, because there's a welfare function, which is cost, the negative cost, for each of these, and they're all different. So if they're different products. It doesn't fit economic theory, at all. So we have to just do that. We have to segregate them that way. And there are 2 different classes of consumers. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. You can imagine if there's 100 generators and 100 zones, you have 100 products and 100 classes of customers. Holy shit.
So this is only applicable for this small amount of generators?
No, but you'll see it does simplify. It looks pretty bad at first, because what am I getting at here is that there should be then how many prices, right? Yeah, there'll be 8. So Pij, that'd be the price that consumer class I pays to generator J. You know, I mean, that's how at first sight, that's how you'd have to set this up, right? And then but the thing is, then you have the social planners problem. We know that in the end, if we have an efficient allocation, it has to be the same as the social planners problem. And what was that again? That was, you had to maximize the sum of the social welfare, the sum of the individual welfares. And so this is how we had it before. We had the sum of the social or the individual welfares. The total is called the social welfare. And SPP again stands for social planners problem. And we had this constraint that supply equals demand. But now these are vectors in a way. So this is some sort of abstract. You know, really what we're saying, you know, is that this is really saying that the summation of GI I equals 1 to 4 is equal to D in zone 1 plus D in zone 2. All right. So that's a, but then also subject to reality. The world there's physics, there's all sorts of things. In this case, the only thing we're modeling is the fact that there are transmission constraints. You know, so plus reality. And in this case, the only thing, again, we're modeling is the fact that reality is a transmission constraint. And if you break this up into these 8 prices and all of this, we can include the reality and the transmission constraints. And here's a conclusion we can make. So let's look at one, the most common setting. So suppose you solve the social planners problem, and its solution actually gives the consumers what they want. So it's not really a function of 2 variables, because you're saying D equals G. This was only in order to show the existence of an equilibrium. So suppose the solution to that thing, G star D star. Of course, these are the same. I mean, these are related in this way and all that. I mean, D is a vector and G is a vector and all that. But again, with D star, which is, D star in zone 1, D star in zone 2, is equal to what they wanted. I think it was actually like 500, 400. Let's, 500, 400? 400, 500.
It's almost 500 the same.
Thank you. Suppose that's true. Suppose you know that. So some oracle told you, hey, it's not an extreme situation, that once I solve this problem, I'll find a D star and a G star, and some oracle has told me that the answer will be this. Well, then this whole maximization, of course, I can displace. It's because, D and G are variables. All right, well then, once I get that, I just plug in D equals D not forever, because I know the solution will give me that anyway.
So D star, like,
array or something?
No, yeah, D star is an array because D is a pair, just like G is a pair. G not a pair. G is a vector here of quantities. Because remember, there are 4 products. So this is like I said it in words, but that's an abstract statement, which is just saying that. And reality in this case just means the transmission constraints. Of course, there's much more. But again, so what happens is just plug it in, and remember and recall that the supplier welfare is just the negative of the cost. I don't care about numbers. So remember, there are prices here that cancel out if you go back and look at the definitions. And I'll put little knots here because I'm going to, well, and I don't need it. No, I don't need that. Never mind. Okay, so each of the 4 products has a cost, and you would sum up the costs. All right. So the negative of the cost is the welfare in economic language. All right. And so what we're left with is maximizing that, which is the same as minimizing this.
Here we are ignoring the price part of the equation, right?
And the social planner's problem is no price. Now, you're not ignoring it; they cancel out. Remember this is equal to W0 minus P star, D, and this is W, for the demand. And really, P is a vector now, so that's really like a dot product and stuff. I mean, but it doesn't matter because they cancel out. All right. So if we go through and recall that fact, that was our convention, then the SPP really becomes economic dispatch. And I hate writing that ED because it means something else in other circles. But the social planner's problem is economic dispatch. Okay, it means something else. I mean, you have to, but anyway, in this course it means economic dispatch. Okay, and so you just plug it in here. Okay, so then subject to 2 constraints. I mean, one is that the supply equals demand. I'll write it like that. I've got supply equals demand. And also the transmission constraints. So the amount of flow constrained in that. Let's just we know that we've set up the problem, so the active constraint is that direction. So that's less than equal to 100.
Do you ever constrain where it can be either way?
No, this is either way.
Okay.
No, we had 2 constraints. Remember, I had a mu plus and a mu. All right, then all right. Given that you asked that, I won't. I'll put them both in. Okay, so you're with me here? I can erase all that. Well, I shouldn't have erased that. Okay, all right, so again, we know that efficiency in this market is solving the social planners problem. There's a concern that could be up to eight prices, and I'm just trying to get to the fact that that's not possible. And it comes down to here, is that the SPP is ED, and that is the Lagrangian decomposition. And let's just do it. You know, we end up having to, I'm going to keep it as a maximum. I mean, you all know when you maximize a negative quantity, you're minimizing that quantity, okay? And a constant doesn't affect anything, you know. But I'll leave it in there just to, you know, just to shake this in. So again, we're maximizing, so we look at the relaxation, and we get this guy here. And actually, I better not, because my lambdas will get all messed up. The signs will all get screwed up. I just realized it's much better to stick to my slides, if I could. So let's just get rid of this constant, you know. So again, instead of maximizing with G, a negative quantity, I minimize here. And then I put in the lambda.
EI minus, right?
Well,
Wait, don't you have to put the constraint in there?
nope. I'm going to remember the Lagrangian decomposition. Well, I'll put in the sum to keep that clear. Okay, so that's total demand. Now, what's your point? May I understand? No, the whole point of the Lagrangian decomposition is we throw away select constraints.
I thought we were supposed to put the constraint in there.
Oh yeah. No, that's what I'm doing. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm putting in. I've got a Lagrange multiplier for that inequality constraint.
Oh, okay, you said it dying there. Okay, I'm sorry.
No problem. Okay, I have a Lagrange multiplier for the constraint that that's supposed to be less than or equal to 0, and a Lagrange multiplier associated with the constraint that that's supposed to be less than or equal to 0. So that's going that direction, that's going this direction, you know. And only one of these will be active, you know. The constraint is going to be positive one way or the other. And so again, you get this whole thing turns into a separated problem. Okay, so you have to solve this monster, okay? So when you do this, it only gives you the dual function, and then you have to find the optimal Lagrange multipliers, where you've got a mu star and a mu star and a lambda star. And by the way, Neil did go through my notes, and he found out there are only 7 definitions, and they're all in the notes. Okay, so there's a few pages of notes, so you'll find everything. But you go through this and you see that in zone 1, this generators 1 and 2, they have a minimization, like for example, minimum over GI of Fi of GI and then minus a lambda, and in zone 1 we have G1 and G2, so that's why there's a minus mu plus. And then in zone, that's in zone 1. And zone 2, I'll have to say it. Okay, so we're saying if there's an efficient solution, it's got to solve the SPP. We perform a Lagrange decomposition of the social planners problem, and we get this decomposition. What's exactly the decomposition that you look for in economics? You know, so if we interpret these now as prices, they support an efficient equilibrium. You know. Now you've got to go back and check. Do they really make? Was our assumption valid? Will the nominal values make the consumer happy? And that all depends on their welfare functions, you know, on how much they cared about the constraint that that they wanted that much. And I should put there should be knots everywhere here. Really, that's their, that was their nominal desire, all right? In economic problems, you pretend that the consumer has some flexibility. In real life, they should. It's hard to realize. Okay, but so I can kill this. You'd still assume this sort of tent function behavior. You'd have to make some assumptions to make this make sense, okay? And you'd have to make sure these prices that the price if you look at this slope, we saw this before, that had better, not be too steep or too shallow. That's all it is. Okay, and it will be, because you're going to end up assuming these are incredibly high. Load shedding is expensive today, and excess power is infeasible. What do you do with it? So this is very, very steep. So almost anything you come up with on the supply side is going to be good enough for the consumer, the way things are set up. So again, this assumption is reasonable under the assumptions that are usually imposed. All right.
So any slope that's close enough to flat.
Well, no, anything. Well, this would have been fine too. Anything that is not that, no steeper than that this way, and no steeper than this way. Yeah, that's what we really saw last time. This was called the choke-up price. And the reason it's called that is it's the most that the consumer would ever be willing to pay for power, because if the price gets higher than that, they're better off to say nothing. I'm out of it. I'll leave the system. That's
Slump, is it the negative of this slump? Like mu minus lambda.
No. Because this is marginal cost. So when you minimize this, if this is smooth, you can differentiate. If this isn't a boundary optimizer, that's the marginal cost. And the marginal cost will be somewhere between these marginal values. I mean,
What about the minus in here before that?
I know, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is for the supplier side. I mean, oh, you're right. There might be a minus sign. I think you might be. Wait a second. You're right. Thank you. What does the consumer do? Thank you very much. So the consumer. And I think it is right, because we're conjecturing that and so what this is saying is, I mean, this is correct, that I need to have some numbers here. That's why I wish I had my computer. But this is we've got a P plus and a minus P minus, say, okay? And this is all in zone 1. And in order for this to be maximized at this boundary, we want this to be less than this maximum slope, and also greater than this negative slope. And that's what this is saying. It's in between. As you vary, if you vary this price, oh god, I don't want to. We did the calculations last time. Exercise. So d star I, this is an exercise for all of you, is equal to d 0I if and only if, well, if, I'll put it in strict inequalities, if this value So, this is exactly what I'm saying here, okay? That I'm more shallow than that steep thing, and not so steep as this thing here. That's all I'm saying here. And you can check that when you maximize this, you will get this point under that condition. All right. This is just a reality check. Is the solution ignoring the? Basically, here I'm ignoring the consumer. Just assuming the consumer is happy with their nominal demand. This would justify it. All right. All right, cool. Yep.
P plus represents the choker price.
Yeah, that's right. The plus sign here, that's just the language you find in the economic literature.
And the other one is...
And the other, so what do you call that? I don't know. It's the cost of load shedding. I mean, not load shedding, cost of energy shedding. Some resource you'd have to dump energy. You might have, like GRU, you might have a contract, with Georgia Power to dump power in them when something goes wrong. They have extra power, or I don't know, something like that. And these things like this do happen. I mean, there are bilateral contracts to try to absorb extra power. It's a problem today. Yeah, sorry, that's a little bit messy, but it is messy. That's life. But you see that all I've shown is that there's one I can find an equilibrium with two prices. All right. You know what I mean? And those two prices, because, I mean, there it is. This exactly fits the setting. This is an equilibrium. With that defined as the price in zone 1, that the price in zone 2. Each consumer individually optimizes, and they get the optimal solution. But of course, with stars here everywhere. Sorry about that. Put stars everywhere you can. You know, you really do have to emphasize that this is after you really solve the dual. Then you have an equilibrium, and by construction, it's optimal, and that's the definition of efficiency. All right? So that's how you force these two worlds together, and it's, again, it's the biggest flaw is this assumption of a large number of actors. It's just not true. You know? A large number of actors, you know, of players. You see that? You know, I mean, usually the assumption is that the fact that you see one of the biggest assumptions in economics is that the price cannot be manipulated by either side. You know, it's what justifies everything. And that makes a lot of sense if you've got 1,000 people selling rice and they're all idiots. You know. Now, even then, it's sort of ridiculous because people create local monopolies. They'll come up with their chia rice for a few months, and they're the only ones selling it. So even then, it's not obvious. But in this case, it's really not obvious because monopolies get formed maybe only for an hour, you know, and then there's room for incredible price manipulation. You can shut down power for a bit and make prices go crazy. So, you know. But anyway, so the reason I'm teaching you this is you need to know the theory, and it gives you a baseline. This is how things would behave under the best of circumstances. Okay? And what is the price in zone 1 if this is not feasible? If the generator just can't give you that much power?
What's the price?
What's that?
China.
Yeah. So remember that this is only the case where the demand is feasible that we get this solution. You know, if it's impossible to supply enough power in zone 1, then the price will go to the choke-up price. Just, you know, don't forget that. Okay, cool. All right. So what are we missing? Like this, I mean, think about reality, and then think about what we've been doing in lecture. What's left out?
I'm thinking, when you said the transmission constraint is 100 milliwatts, right?
Yeah.
What happens if generator 2 is super far from the demand? So
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, let's make a list. Fantastic. Yeah, that's a great one.
I know you earlier said you can make an assumption that all the generators in zone 1 can transfer to zone 2 without any constraint.
Let's say that again.
I think you said all the generators in zone 1 are only able to send power to other zones.
Oh no, I mean that's not. I mean no. I mean in this example, the biggest thing was the transmission constraint.
Right.
Oh, but then within zone 1, everybody can send power everywhere else. But there are issues of distance, as you said. So there's transmission losses. You know, I mean, to me, it's just a miracle that all that power in North Dakota from wind is shipped across to Missouri. You know, and there are significant losses. You know, and there's also dynamic issues as well. I mean, transmission lines have dynamics, and so losses and dynamics. Maybe that's less important, but. And imagine when you have to take that into account. So, basically, that generator is producing power, but a lot of that power is just disappearing into the atmosphere, as heat, and heating up the transmission line or whatever. So it makes things complicated. What else is missing?
realistic time of generating it that runs like,
What's that?
like under 100%?
Oh, say it again?
So like, because in our example, we have generator 4, like generating only like 200, like 4
Yeah.
minutes maximum output. Is that like, is that like, we can do that?
Well, there is a point here. The linear, let's forget the particularities of this particular example, but you're right that that marginal unit never makes any money. It's true that it has there's two issues there. In this example here, G4 goes broke. Never makes money. Because it's always the marginal unit. It's always getting paid its marginal cost. It's nothing. It doesn't handle the people who are sitting around doing maintenance or the interest rates on their loan. It doesn't cover anything. So, but as you say, in real life, the costs aren't linear. And it's possible to be forcing people to not be at their sweet spot. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if that's such an issue in terms of operations. I think we're fine. Because in terms of operations, we've solved the problem, and it's the optimal solution. So I think that's okay. I think the biggest issue is the individuals aren't happy. I mean, this generator 1's going to do quite well, and generator 4 is going to go out of business. And we need them, I mean, like today that the coal generators, we might hate coal, but we need it until we have a replacement. So I think that's a bigger issue here. Anything else? There's so many issues missing. I mean,
Is the load that doesn't change?
oh, there's a dynamic load. Yeah, the load is changing, and there's some unpredictability. So that's a huge one right there. I mean, the fact actually load is pretty easy to forecast, but just the uncertainty in the system from various sources, outages from renewable energy, all of that's going to be a big topic coming up. And also the dynamics, it's the fact that it changes it all, which is, in my mind, the next big topic. But you all go first.
You have to take into account the cost of branding generators.
All those miserable things. I mean, so that to me, it's like it would go down forever in the dynamics of generation. So, can you imagine? It's gone now. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that being the thing that a generator operator thinks about? I mean, can you imagine, think about these massive monster generators, 500 megawatts of power. That's what I need this thing. Just